In the sun-drenched hills of Southern California, just 30 miles northwest of downtown Los Angeles, lies the site of one of the worst nuclear accidents in U.S. history, an event shrouded in secrecy for decades. The Santa Susana Field Laboratory, SSFL, established in 1947, played a central role in the Cold War-era nuclear and aerospace industries. But it was also the site of a 1959 partial nuclear meltdown that remained largely hidden from the public eye for years. The story of the SSFL is a cautionary tale about Cold War secrecy, environmental neglect, and the long-term costs of unchecked nuclear experimentation. Birth of a secret testing ground. Owned by Rocketdyne and operated in collaboration with the U.S. government, the Santa Susana Field Laboratory was created to test rocket engines and experimental nuclear reactors at the dawn of the atomic age. Located in Simi Hills, the 2,850-acre facility housed 10 experimental reactors and was home to projects run by NASA, the Atomic Energy Commission (AEC), and defense contractors. It was divided into different operational areas, one of the most infamous being Area 4, where nuclear research was concentrated. The 1959 nuclear meltdown. On July 13, 1959, a sodium-cooled reactor called the Sodium Reactor Experiment, SRE, experienced a partial meltdown years before the more well-known incidents at 3 Mile Island, 1979, or Chernobyl, 1986. What went wrong? A blockage in the cooling system caused the core temperature to rise. 13 of the reactor's 43 fuel elements partially melted, releasing radioactive gases into the atmosphere. Unlike commercial reactors, the SRE lacked containment structures, meaning radiation could escape freely. Estimates suggest that the accident released hundreds of times more radioactive iodine than the 3 Mile Island disaster. A culture of secrecy. Despite the severity of the incident, it remained largely unknown to the public for decades. No evacuation was ordered, and there were no public announcements. The Atomic Energy Commission and Rocketdyne downplayed the risks and kept technical details classified. It wasn't until the late 1970s and early 2000s that journalists, scientists, and community activists began uncovering the true extent of the disaster. Declassified documents and whistleblower testimonies revealed that radiation monitoring data had been suppressed, and cleanup efforts were minimal. More than just one disaster. The 1959 meltdown was only part of a larger pattern of hazardous operations at the SSFL. Multiple radioactive releases occurred over the years from failed reactors and leaks. Thousands of rocket engine tests led to chemical spills, including trichloroethylene, TCE, a known carcinogen. Open-air burning of toxic waste contaminated surrounding soil and groundwater. The Alpha, Bravo, and Coca test stands, used for space shuttle engine tests, left behind residues of fuels and heavy metals. All of this occurred near a growing suburban population. Health and environmental consequences. Residents living near SSFL have reported higher than average cancer rates, rare illnesses, and concerns about birth defects. Several studies suggest a correlation between proximity to the site and health risks, though proving causality remains difficult due to the lack of long-term federal studies and missing data. Environmental groups and local activists have pushed for full cleanup and transparency for decades, often facing resistance from Boeing, which now owns the site, NASA, and the Department of Energy. The fight for cleanup and justice. In 2010, a landmark agreement was signed between the state of California, NASA, and the Department of Energy, committing to a full cleanup of the site by 2017. However, progress has been slow and deadlines have been repeatedly pushed back. Critics allege that the cleanup has been weakened under lobbying pressure and that responsible agencies have failed to honor their commitments. Conclusion: a legacy of neglect. The Santa Susana Field Laboratory remains a potent symbol of Cold War secrecy and the hidden costs of America's nuclear ambitions. What was once seen as a hub of innovation has become a radioactive scar, still threatening the health of nearby communities decades after its peak operations. The SSFL story reminds us that technological progress without transparency and accountability can have devastating consequences, and that the fight for environmental justice can take generations. As the battle over cleanup continues, many still ask, how many more secrets are buried in America's Cold War past?